Okay. So I think we are live.
Yes,
And
we
I'm
are.
just going to share it on my platforms if that's okay. So just a few minutes.
That's fine.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. I think we are back. And we have few people online at the moment. So I think
Awesome. Awesome.
we probably should just exchange pleasantries. How have you been? How was your day? Because you said you were working today. So how was your day?
Oh my goodness, I work every day, and but today I was working from home,
Okay.
and it was. Do you know how sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm working from home, it's going to be an easy day, and then you end up piling so much work on your table, and you're doing this and that, and you're thinking, oh my God, I need to go back to work. That's how my day has been today. But I've got a cup of tea here
Good.
so that I can chill out. Where's yours?
Well, sadly, I don't have one close by.
This is going to be a hot gist. It's like conversation between two friends catching up. So you must get a
Okay.
drink.
I
Get a
should
drink.
get. Okay,
Yes,
I should get one.
you should. Come on, so we can
Okay.
chill out and talk about it properly.
Yeah, I'll quickly get a cup of tea and yes, we'll
And
take it
then we
off.
can get into, of course. And then for anyone who's online, please grab a cup of tea, coffee,
Very important.
juice, anything that you want, and
Mm-hmm.
let's get into this.
Okay. I'll be back shortly.
Okay. I usually like to chill out with a cup of tea, just relax, especially with the weather. The weather's changing, and yeah, winter's my favorite time of the year anyway. If you're online and you're watching now, I'm taking over the live session. Don't mind me. As a teacher in me, I just feel like we should be chatting while she's making her cup of tea. So yes, winter's my favorite season of the year. I will sound crazy, I know, but it's awesome. It's the time when you get to snuggle with a good book and a cup of tea. And she's back.
And
I
winter
think
is your favorite time of the year.
winter is my favorite time of the year. I'm crazy, aren't
No,
I? I told you
no,
this is a chatting session.
no. No, I definitely would not. No, of all weathers, no.
Okay, so I'm a May baby. I was born in May, so spring, but then it's almost getting to that time when it's hot. And I was born in Nigeria, so it was hot when, Nigeria has two seasons. There's
Mm-hmm.
no spring,
Mm-mm.
it's not four, it's two.
Mm-mm.
So it's
Yeah.
either hot or it's cold. And I grew up in the time of MTV. I'm dating myself here now. You can tell. So I used to sit down in the morning because, of course, MTV was usually the time difference was, with Nigeria was not the same. So the time
Mm-hmm.
when we get to watch MTV is when we're getting ready for school in the morning. So I would get myself ready from 5:30, plant myself in front of the television, and then I see all those people all dressed in jackets and coats, and it was a huge impression on me, and I decided I must live in a cold country. I must live in a cold country. And I think that's where the love for winter started, because I also like to read. So snuggling, reading, wearing all those coats, that's me. And boots. I've got boots on now. You should see them.
I mean, I'm in November. I'm in November, baby, and my birthday is tomorrow, and I
Oh,
definitely do not like winter. No, it's like the worst of the weathers for me. And I
No,
honestly do not like summer either. I'm either
because it's
the
too hot.
it's too hot, yes. So it's just oh no.
I think another thing is that because I grew up in northern Nigeria where it's very, very hot.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really? What parts?
Okay, so I was born in Niger State, but I schooled in Kaduna, so I was.
No way. Do you speak Hausa? Heartbreak. Heartbreak.
Do you speak Hausa?
So say,
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
I speak Hausa. I speak Hausa.
Oh,
And
that's good.
yeah, so I grew up in northern Nigeria where it was really, really hot. Like
Mm,
when it's hot, it's hot. And I found you can take off all your clothes, but you'll still be hot.
hot, yes.
But with winter, you can layer up and you'll
And
get
feel warm.
cozy.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why winter. See, I'm giving you more reasons why I love winter now. And it's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I decided I was going to travel the world, and teaching was my vessel to do
Okay.
all those things. Yeah.
So you were teaching in Nigeria before you moved?
No, long story.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to I wanted to be a doctor from when I was like 4 or 5.
Okay.
And I remember doing everything I could to be a doctor.
Okay.
But and I got my grades. My grades were fantastic. I loved being at school.
Hmm.
But then cocky side of me came out and I decided no, it had to be Unilag. All my friends were going to ABU, Ahmadu Bello University. But for me,
Yeah.
are you? Oh my God. So my grandfather was head of forensic science at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria.
Mhm.
So I grew up on campus. We're on area A. That's where that's where I grew up. So for
Okay.
me, when you see something all the time, you just feel like, okay, been there,
It's just normal. There's
done
nothing
that.
special about it anymore.
Exactly. So I decided I had to go to uni like opposite end. Like I grew up here and going down there, you know, tying into my MTV era. You see how it all comes together. So, because I felt Lagos people were always so well dressed, they always had they were always on point. And I
Mhm.
grew up in Kaduna, so I felt like, okay, I had the north down to a T.
Enough of the northern life for
Exactly.
you.
Not enough. I just felt like, okay, I understood this part of the country. I've got it down to a T. I'm going
Okay.
down south. So, first choice for JAMB, Unilag. You would think I'll be sensible to put another, university as my second choice. Nope. Second choice, Unilag. Third choice, Unilag. I was like, I'm going.
Did you get it?
Unfortunately, I was 2 points off. 238 didn't get me into Unilag, unfortunately. It would have gotten me into ABU because the cutoff mark for medicine in ABU was 180 at the time.
Hmm.
So I would have been one of the, really high
Yeah.
ones. But I didn't put ABU on my list. So I was there scrambling. My mom decided, come on, let's go see how we could maybe write a letter, see somebody. I was like, no, I'm going to stay here in Unilag. I'm going to try and get in. Long story short, I didn't get in.
Hmm.
I was too late for ABU because the list was full by the time I
Yeah.
decided. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up at Ekpoma, Ambrosali University in Edo State, because my mom's from Edo State. And there my story began because, it was a totally different world from what I was used to.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not the North, it was not Lagos with the MTV vibes. It was just different.
Yeah.
Edo State people are one of a kind, and I will not go into the details on here, but yeah, it was University of Life as far as I was concerned,
Mm-hmm.
because I realized when I got to that university that I'd grown up in my father's living room. I didn't know anything about the world.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah, if I had been a little bit street smart, I wouldn't have put Unilag first choice, second choice, third choice. Growing up in the North, I felt put me in a bubble. I grew up in
Okay.
a I think I grew up in a bubble growing up in the north, especially growing up on a university campus. It's surreal. It's
Hmm.
not real life. It's beautiful, it's glamorous, it's wonderful, but it's not real life because I don't think I was prepared for the nitty gritty of life. I was just used to black and white and not
Mm-hmm.
all the different shades of gray in between
In between, yeah.
and
Yeah.
how to navigate that. And I think people who grow up in the north are sort of shielded from real life. I think
From a lot of things, yeah.
that's
Because
my opinion.
some things that you would experience down south or let's say southwest, the other part of Nigeria, it's not really that vast in the northern part of Nigeria. So we
No,
don't
no.
get to experience that. Yeah,
Yeah. I think life is simple when you grow up in the north,
it
you
is.
know,
It is.
easy, I would say. Growing up in the north made me think life was easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I ended up in Ambrose Ali University and it taught me a lot of things that I still use till today.
Today. That's very important because our experiences in a way helps us in different circumstances of our lives. So
Yes.
irrespective of where you did your uni or where you end up, it
Yes. It just all adds
pushes,
up.
yeah, it adds up
Yes.
one way or the other. For those of you just joining us right now, my name is Mercy, and I have a wonderful guest here with me today. And we are going to be talking about moving abroad as a teacher. She's very vast in this. She's very knowledgeable about this. So she's going to be telling us all about it. She is on YouTube as well. Her YouTube name is Diaspora Doodles.
Yes.
Please, please, and please head over to her channel and subscribe, like her content, share her content as well. I'll put her details in the description box as well as the comment section so that you can access it easily. And if you can like this video that you were watching, this live, it would be amazing. It would be pushed out for more people to be aware and get the same value as you are getting. So I will, I will hand it over to her. She would introduce herself to us. She has started it, but just tell us more about herself. And please, you would break it down for us very simple, very
Of
easy, just
course.
so that it would be relatable for whoever
Yes.
is watching the live. And any questions anybody has got, please do leave it in the comment section. We will be
Okay.
on the lookout to answer those questions. So over to you. Can you just give us more information about yourself?
Oh, that's what I'm here for. And I think we've already started it. I've given them a
We
bit of my
have actually, because I mean,
yes, please. So, so I've already given you a brief background, but I'm sure you were able to pick out something there. I'm someone
Mhm.
who likes adventures. I like to travel because, like I said, I was born in the South, moved to the North, lived in the North amongst the university students. So I was used to academia,
Mhm.
and so studying was not hard for me. By the way, my name is Janet, and I'm an international school teacher, currently a curriculum specialist. I have been to 9 countries across 6 continents. When I read it off the top of my head, I still have that shocked feeling, like Venezuela, the US. So I taught in Venezuela. I've taught in the US.
Wow.
I've taught in the UK.
Oh wow.
Egypt, Oman, no, Oman first, and then Egypt. And then I decided to go to Norway because I felt like, okay, enough of the heat. I'm going back to winterland. So I went all the way up to Norway. And then I thought, okay, let's try the Netherlands. And then Myanmar. Had a brief stint in China. So I never really call China when I'm listing out the countries that I've worked in. But yes, I was employed at the British School of Beijing for just 2 seconds. And I enjoyed it. But the main reason why I left was that the pandemic hit, and
Okay.
I decided that, okay, I don't know what's going to happen to the world. And I just want to be amongst people who love me. And, I want to be there in case the world busts into flame.
Yeah.
And then I've done Australia as well. And then
You
now
have.
I'm in Spain. And I've
Wow.
always traveled with my children because I feel like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. and that if I love to travel, they would
They,
love traveling too,
yeah, yeah.
Or, and even if they don't like traveling, I was ready to educate them on the University of Life and what they will get from traveling, because traveling is an education. I've always said traveling is an education, and I've not only said it, I've put my money where my mouth is, and I've done the deed and traveled around the world. It's been an interesting journey around the world. I've never really paid for all this travel. As an international school teacher, when you get hired by international schools, they will pay for your visa, they will pay for your airfares, return flights. So they'll pay for you to travel out, and they'll pay for you to return back to your base where
Okay.
they interviewed you from. So when I was interviewed uh, from Egypt, for instance, to go work in Norway, they paid for my flights to Norway, and then they paid for my flight back
Back
to
to
Egypt.
Egypt.
But being the adventurous person that I am, I would always make sure I have another gig lined up. So I would just tell them, don't return me to Egypt. Take me back. Take me to. So I
A
would
different
reroute my
country.
ticket to take me to the other place. And but then the other place would probably have paid for me to come to them. So I usually had one extra ticket that I would then use to travel to anywhere that I wanted to go in between. It's been an interesting life as an international school teacher, occupying spaces where people who look like this usually
Mm.
far, you don't find people like me.
Yeah.
They're usually of a different background, a different race. So being in that space, you're sort of like an ambassador. You're sort of
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
a spokesperson. You might probably be the only Black person that those
Mm.
people have ever seen in that position. They would have
Yeah.
seen Black people, but usually in other jobs, maybe care work or
Mm-hmm.
cleaners or nannies, but not in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me feel like I had to bring my A game all the time. And after a while, I decided I was going to start up my own channel to sort of encourage more people to come into this space so that they're not just seeing me and think that I'm
Mm.
a unicorn. There's so many other people who can teach because, like I said, I started with microbiology, not education. But
Mm.
over the course of my odyssey around the world, I have gained certificates, I have gained qualifications, I have gained the experience, and I hope that after today's session, everyone watching would be inspired to join me in my journey around the world, breaking stereotypes as I go along, one country at a time.
I mean, that's the aim. That's the aim because at the end of the day, you practically cannot go pick up somebody from one country to another. They have to be interested to make the move. But all
Yes,
we are just doing is making them aware that it is possible. It's very possible,
it
and
is.
you just need to have the information, the right, information, put in the work, and that goal, that desire would be achieved. But it's all
Exactly,
about, the process involved.
exactly,
I
exactly.
think this is really good. I mean, you have been to all of the countries that most people would like to move to.
Yes. Like I said, traveling is my first passion, and teaching was the vessel with which I achieved that passion. So, and I'm still on it. I'm waiting for Antarctica, so I can take that off too as well. I
But
would go. I
what
love
do you
winter.
what do you mean by you are an international teacher? What does that mean?
So, the international curriculum is different from a national curriculum. An international curriculum is one where diversity is, promoted, is one where it doesn't stick to any national curriculum. A national curriculum, you would ask, what's a national curriculum, Janet? A national curriculum is a set of rules and objectives and values that's been formulated into a school curriculum to
Mhm.
foster the values of a country. So I would use the most famous one because it's in the name, the National Curriculum for England and Wales. It means that everything that's taught in that curriculum is done to promote the United Kingdom and Wales. It's done to promote the children's thinking so that it will foster citizenship of that country. So if I take that curriculum and I take it to Nigeria, does it mean that it's become international? No. It's still a national curriculum. It will be promoting British values. It will be promoting British art, culture, music, everything. It's just being taught to a different audience.
Yeah.
That's all. But an international curriculum is one such that the concepts are taught and you can fit in the national values into that concept. A good example would be the IB curriculum, the International Primary Curriculum. It has the name in it. So they would not teach British values, they will teach global values. They will teach things that will foster interconnectivity between people around the world. And it's always easy for teachers who have different backgrounds to come together to teach the international curriculum, because you don't need to know what the country's values are. You just need to know what the shared global values are. And you can fit into it. You can bring your own flavor into that international curriculum and it will work really well.
Okay. So for people who are interested to start this journey, how do they go about it? What do they have to do?
Easy. The mindset, the drive, and the certification. So when I started, I didn't have the certification to work at an international school. But like I said, you can bring your own flavor to it and have the
Okay.
mindset to learn. So a good example would be when I went to Venezuela, because that's where I went to first. I didn't have any teaching qualifications, but I had volunteered at a school before.
Okay.
And because I had volunteered, I'd gotten the pedagogy. I knew how to speak to children. I knew how to break down concepts because of my background in whatever my background was. In my case, it's science. So it was easy for them to take me on and train me. No
Okay.
university teaches the IB. The IB is an international curriculum that was formulated somewhere in Switzerland, and it's done for international families who do not stay in one place. So it's easy for them to learn with that curriculum and still be in any country. So for me, who didn't have the background in education, it was easy for me to just come in. The school was already subscribed to the IB, so they just taught me how to employ what I already knew
Mm.
into that curriculum. And then I flourished. I learned. The main thing with being an international school teacher is that you have to be a good learner
Okay.
because you pick things up as you go. There's
Mm.
no, so they would not ask me who was the king in the UK in 1066. No, because that's a national curriculum. An international curriculum will be more like, what's the weather like? So they're not talking about weather in one country, they're talking about weather. What do you see weather as? It could be summer in where I am now. If I move to Nigeria, I should know that weather is how the atmospheric condition of a place. I won't learn winter, spring, summer, autumn. I would learn atmospheric condition. That means what's the weather like? What kind of weather do they have in this country? What
Mm.
kind of weather? How do I compare this weather to Ghana? How do I compare the weather in Nigeria and Ghana to Japan? So that way, I'm not learning rote what people in a country know. I'm learning how to help myself wherever I go. So that's why you see international school teachers were quite fluid. As an
Mm.
international school teacher, I can come to the UK and I can teach the national curriculum. I can go anywhere and teach because I've learned to sort of apply my skills in so many different ways that I can fit into anything that I find. They they formed this because of parents who travel around the world with their children so that
Yeah.
the children don't have to be playing catch up all the time. You just fit into wherever you find yourself. They've taught you how to think. So
Mm-hmm.
wherever you go, you would fit in there. So the teachers are required to know how to help children think. so that you can then help them fit into wherever they go.
Okay. And with the whole process, is it something that you would need to get like a contract of certain number of years, or how long does it last when you get a job?
So most of the time, to explain this, I'll have to explain the different types of schools first. So they're
Okay.
all international, but we in the international school circuit know that there's tier one, there's tier two, there's tier three schools. Tier one schools are the ones where they have all the money. It's usually not for profit. And so that means whatever school fees the children pay or the tuition the children pay, after they've paid off their overhead, they pour it back into the school. So there's always research on how to make the school better. Tier two schools, not as rigorously funded, or how would I say, they're not as efficient as tier one schools, but they still have the manpower. They still have people, they still have some sort of resources, maybe not as much money because they take some of the money for profit. But then tier three schools are just schools that want to be international schools, but they have a profit minded focus. So they don't have as much money. Now, and going back to your question, which says, can you repeat that question again?
So my question was, for people who want to go through this route and they get a job, are they contracted to work specific number of
Yes.
years, or it's just permanent?
So, because the tier one schools have a lot more focus on continuity, they have the money, they have the resources, they tend to ask their teachers to stay a little bit longer. So, they'll usually it will not be remiss to see an international school giving a teacher a 3-year contract so that they know there's continuity. You're not just there for 1 year and then you're gone the next year. If you want to stay for much longer than that, there's always an incentive at a tier one school to, oh, thank you for not giving us the pain of going to hire another teacher. Here's a bonus for just signing up. And it's usually about between 20 to 25% of your yearly salary. They give it to you as a lump sum. Remember, those schools, they have the money. They're not there for the profit. They're there to help the children. So they would usually give you an incentive for you to stay. So it will not be remiss to find teachers at tier one schools who have been there for 8 years, 9 years, because each time they sign up again after their first contract has ended, they get the bonus, the sign up bonus. So they stay. And the school loves it. And they keep giving them the incentive. Of course, there'll be appraisals. You have to meet the appraisals because they want to keep that tier one status. Tier two schools are the ones that will usually give you 2 years. They will give you a 2-year contract to start with. And if you don't like it, you can leave after your 2 years or you can stay. They would give you a sign-up bonus as well, but they will say each time you sign the contract, you would sign for another 2 years. So they're not giving you money every year. They're sort of giving you money like, not as regularly as the tier one schools. Tier three schools would probably give you a contract for a year and you would have to sign up. They might not give you an incentive at the end. They might just say, okay, we're helping you not go and look for jobs, so thank you for staying. And they might promote you at work, maybe move you onto a leadership role or something, maybe middle leadership or things like that. Now remember, tier three schools, because they are more profits minded, they don't have as many people there as possible, because the more people you hire, the more you have to pay out. So you'll find a teacher who would be doing all the subjects, teaching all the subjects, whereas in tier one schools, you would only teach the core subjects. So maths, chemistry, math, science, English, just the core subjects, whereas there'll be specialist teachers to teach the specialist subjects. So music, PE, modern foreign language, art, drama, and all of that. And in tier one schools, you would find that they have a variety of subjects that the children can choose from. So you find you have a lot more time, and teachers usually stay for much longer at tier one
Mhm.
schools. I've been at a tier one school most of my career, and I would advise anyone to go for tier one schools. Just that their recruitment practices are usually very stringent because they want to attract people who will stay. So
Mhm.
people who are really specialized. So they would ask you that you must be specialized. You must have a teaching qualification from any country, your home country, any country. As long as you're a registered teacher at any country, you're a prime candidate for a tier one school.
Okay. And so for people who are interested, what do they have to do? Like step one, step two, step three? Like how do they go about it? For people who will say, okay, I want to teach abroad and I don't know the country I want to start with first, but with the way Janet has explained this thing, oh, I'm so interested in being an international school teacher. So for people like that, how do they go about it? Because it's not just going to be focused on one country. They can move about as an international
Yes.
school teacher. So what do they need to do? What certificates do they need to have? What registration processes do they need to do? Or do they need to, start and basically that?
Okay, so like I always say on my channel, the world is your oyster as an international school teacher. You can go anywhere really, as long as you remember you're focusing on international schools. Because I've met people who they say, "Oh, I've applied to schools in Australia and I didn't get in," and I'm like, "I've worked in Australia. It's easy to work in international schools in Australia." And going through their application, I can see they've applied to a national school. And
Ah,
I'm like, you're applying to a national school. With a national school, you have to have the certification of that country or the equivalent to work at a national school or a public school. But when you go to the international schools, I can come with a certification from, let's use Nigeria because I'm from Nigeria. I can come from a certification from Nigeria, maybe NCE or grade two or whatever, as long as the Ministry of Education in my country or any country can certify that I am a qualified teacher, then I can work at any international school around the world. Remember, their curriculum is such that it's fluid. As long as you know how to teach, you don't need to know the concepts in any particular country's curriculum. As long as you can teach, you can break down concepts into smaller pieces for children or adults or learners, then you can teach. So right now I have a PGCE. So even though I'm Nigerian, I have a PGCE from the United Kingdom. I have an American teaching certification as well. So I pick and choose where I want to go really. Because I worked at a national school, a public school in the US. I also worked at a public school in the UK. So I can use any one of those certifications that I want, really. Now, there are some countries that will not even require you to have a certification. They just want to know that you have a bachelor's degree. Are you educated enough? Do you understand the concept of education? Fine, come work at the international school, but then you'll start from a lower level and then you'll rise up. They have to train you because, like I said, the IB is not a university. It's not, it's an institution, but it's an institution that can work with any institution around the world. So they would give you a certificate, but they want you to be with a school so that you can learn how to teach the way they want you to teach at that school. So for anyone who's starting on this journey, I would ask you to choose where you want to go. So choose the country. Do you want to go to the UK? Do not apply to schools in the UK that are on the state funded schools. Apply to international schools in the UK. So schools like Eton and schools like Harrow. Those are international or independent schools, and those are the ones that run the international curriculum. So when you apply to those schools, then whatever you have, they will measure it and say, okay, we would want, you can come. For example, in the UK, you have to have QTS to work in a public school. To work at an international school, you don't have to have QTS. You don't need QTS. To work at an academy, you don't need QTS. You just need to know how to teach, and you must be willing to learn. Because remember, they're going to teach you how to work with the curriculum that they operate in that school, which is the International Primary Curriculum or the IB curriculum.
Let me just ask, what is IB?
International Baccalaureate.
Okay. And for somebody who, Amomi saying hello. And, hi, Amomi. And for somebody who doesn't have any background in teaching, in education or anything. So take, for example, somebody who has background in project management,
Yes.
and the person is interested. Can they go ahead to do this whole process with the UK or the US or whichever other country they're interested in?
Yes, there are international schools all over the world, all over. Look for the remote country on the map. There's an international school there. There are so many of them out there, and some of them are really, really desperate. If you have, for example, a background that is not in education, I would advise you, with my experience, first of all, go get some experience. For example, volunteer is the fastest way. I would tell you any day, anytime, go in, just have an idea of how to speak to children. Children are very funny and they can smell fear. And you can't always calm them down by just shouting at them. It doesn't work. You have to know how to bargain with them, you have to know how to reason with them, you have to know how to negotiate with them. Oh, that's a good one. That's fine, you can do this, but this is what I need you to do now. So if you're ready, I will, it takes a skill. And I think that you can't just go into the classroom without that skill. And that's what international schools look for. They look for that ability for you to talk to children and reason with them and bargain with them and still teach them and not lose your cool. The fastest way for you to do it is to go in and volunteer or get into a teaching assistant role wherever you are. Then the background you have in whether project management, look for transferable skills from there. As a project manager, do you negotiate contracts? You'll be negotiating in the classroom with the children. Write it down because it's a transferable skill. Do you come in early? Yeah. Do you draw up a proposal? You'll be drawing up a lesson plan. So yeah, look for transferable skills and put that on your CV. International schools really like it when you have the real world experience as well. I know someone right now who used to be an accountant in Dubai, and he's actually working in, I think he's working in Thailand at the moment. He just left this September. He has never been a teacher before. And when he came to me, I said, you're really qualified. You've been a waiter, you've been a sales rep, he's been in marketing. Why don't you teach accounting? And he said, but would they accept? And I said, yeah, it's an international school. As long as you don't go for the public schools or the national schools, you're fine. You have the real world experience that you can relate it to the children. All you need is the pedagogy of how to break it down into little concepts for them to chew. And he said, okay. And when we prepared his CV and he sent it off and he got called for interview, he was shocked. I said, many people want to work abroad, but they keep going for the public schools. Public schools, they're set in their ways. They will not bend it for anyone. But if you go to the international schools, they want you to come in and teach the children world class experience gotten from the field, not someone who's just sat in the classroom and read theories from Vygotsky and Palin. And they want real world experience because their children move from one country to the other. So they need that example. They need the experience. They need someone who's been out there, done it, and then come back to teach. And some countries have started moving towards that now. They started hiring people who have the field experience, then they teach them how to teach, and then they put them in the classrooms. But international schools have been doing that for years and years.
So, take for example, let's drop juice and information from your Australian experience.
Yes.
For somebody who is interested in being an international school teacher in Australia, and the
Yes.
person is abroad, and the person does not have any certificate as in education or PGC or any of that, but the person wants to be an international school teacher in Australia, how would the person go about it?
Right. I would always tell people, when you're starting out, do not jump to the creme de la creme. You have to work your way up. Because some countries like Australia, Canada, the UK, the US, they're bombarded by applications every single day because for some reason people want to go to those countries.
Yeah.
I'm not fussed about those countries, not because I've worked there, but because I can compare my experience in those countries and my experience everywhere else, and I'm seeing, why did I waste my time in those countries? That sort of thing. But then that's me, and I would not stop anyone from going to those countries to see what it's like, and then make up their minds. So if you're just starting out and you want to work at international schools, I would pick schools not in those countries, because it's not just the international schools you have to grapple with. You also have to deal with the immigration system, which
Yeah.
is usually to deter people from coming in. So the schools might want you, but then they know, okay, even if they offer you the job, are you going to be able to scale through the immigration system that's been put in place to stop people from coming in? So most schools in countries like that would go for people who are highly skilled, people who already have the certification, people who already know their onions, so they can prove to the immigration system why they're hiring such people. If you're just starting out, go to the Middle East, go to Southeast Asia, go to other countries, and you will find that 2 or 3 years in that country, as long as you have your head on and you get all the certifications that you can get in that school, because many international schools, boy, you will not leave an international school the same way you entered it. There'll be lots of CPD thrown at you. There'll be lots of courses thrown at you. Take it all. It's your way of, gaining something from them. Take it all so that when you move to your next school, you will be better prepared to move on, and you go on a higher scale, higher salary, higher pay, and all of that. And you can move from a tier 3 school to a tier 2 school and then to a tier 1 school. In countries like Australia, they have a lot of tier 1 schools. One, because of their inspectorates, the educational laws, they have to meet a certain standard. So if you don't have any qualifications, I wouldn't advise you jumping from nothing to a tier 1 school. It won't work. You will not keep up. You will not. There's a level of professionalism that you cannot meet up with. But there are some countries where they have some tier 1 schools, they have some tier 2 schools, and they have some tier 3 schools. And you can start from any one of those, because for them to have tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, the educational board is not as strict. So pick up those kind of schools, get your badge, get your, how do I say, your wings like a pilot, and then fly.
Can you give us examples of such countries as got like the tier 3, 2, and 1, so that people who are interested in considering that can have a look into those countries and start the whole process?
So schools like Spain, for instance, Spain is not one of the in Europe, for example, when you look at the educational board and all those things in Europe as a whole, Spain will be lower down in the ranking for schools generally. So they would have some tier 3 schools, some tier 2 schools, and some tier 1 schools. Unlike countries like Norway that will have mainly tier 1 schools because of the standards that they have to meet. So, for example, Spain just put up their child laws in 2021, where the UK has had child protection laws for years and years and years. So those kind of countries would have schools where they'll have tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. And it's usually nice to focus on those countries. In my experience, I find non-English speaking countries are very good for those kind of things because one, you have an unfair advantage that you speak
Speak
English.
English, yeah.
So that's already a plus without you even trying. And it's not to say go and do TEFL. I won't advise people to go out of their way to do TEFL. I mean, if you don't have any qualifications at all, you can start with the TEFL because it will teach you how to break down concepts to non-English speakers in English. However, if you already have an educational certification, so like a B.Ed, an NCE, grade 2, yeah, PGCE, PGDE, please forget about the TEFL and just apply to schools that will take you with what you have. So, yeah.
Okay.
Countries like Mexico, countries like Uruguay, yeah, Latin America has a lot of those kind of schools. Europe has a lot of those tier 3 schools, but not as much as you would find in Latin America, Southeast Asia. China used to have a lot of tier 3 schools, but China has evolved and their Ministry of Education has really cleaned up. And most of the schools you'll find there now will be tier 1 schools and tier 2 schools. So, yeah, that's another place to look. Korea, yeah.
Okay. Just Emmanuel said, pardon me for jumping the gun. Does this mean I can dust my CV, reorganize it, and apply to international schools without gaining certification in education?
Yes, please. I started my journey with just a degree in microbiology. I didn't even have a master's degree. I got my master's degree in Venezuela and then moved on to the US because the US will take you with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Do you see what I mean? So you see, I started from a tier 3 school in Venezuela, moved on to the US after I had gained my master's from my tier 3 school, went from the US to the UK, after I had gained my American teaching certification, went to the UK, gained my PGCE, and then went to Norway, gained my IB certification. So you see, I took advantage of every country I went
That you were in, yeah.
Yeah, and now I work in a tier 1 school because I don't need to gain. It's not like I don't need to gain any more qualifications or any more certifications. I've There's always room for improvement. But when it comes to the big certifications that I need to access different international schools like the tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, I've reached the level where I can work in a tier 1 school now because I've got all the qualifications that I need to get into those schools. Anything I do now will just be to improve myself or to satiate my curiosity about different things around the world. So that's what I would say, Emmanuel. Start from a tier 3 school. They are always happy to have you. They might advertise that they want someone with the IB curriculum. You go there, you don't have an IB curriculum, you just have a B.Ed or a bachelor's degree. They will take you and they will train you because it's the conditions of being an IB school. They will train you. They must train you. When I went to Norway, it was a tier 1 school and I didn't have the IB qualification. So the school had me do the whole course over the summer before joining them in the September because I had to. So they will send everything to you after they've given you the offer letter. They will send all the courses you need to do. It might be a lot, but hey, Someone's paying for it. You're not paying for it yourself. You might
Yeah.
as well do it. So I did everything, and yeah, like I said, I haven't paid for any qualification in the past 14 years, and I've gathered them in the baskets. So
That's
stop
good.
going for national schools. If you're not qualified to work at national schools, spread your wings, go to international schools, and you'll be surprised how much they'll value you. Go
Mm,
to where you're needed.
yeah. And then another question is, are there certificates that I could gain to better position me for a teaching role in these countries, please?
Yes. So they, like I said, they want to know that you're not going to come into the classroom and be a dragon to the children. Maybe you don't have nieces, you don't have children, you don't know that sometimes children can be children. Children can be children. You can't change that fact. So I would suggest that you do lots of CPDs. CPDs just to get you into that mindset of, oh, if a child does this, I don't need to shout. I don't need to punish them. I don't need to be draconian. I just need to do this. So there are CPDs for child protection, there's CPDs for behavior management. They're just 2 to 3 hour courses that you can gather lots and lots of them, so that when the school sees that you have all those things on your CV, they'll say, oh, this person has an idea. Might not know how to do it, but he has an idea, so that when you come to the school, then at least you have something to fall back on to hit the ground running.
Do you have like any websites or any platforms where you would recommend for one to do like some of the CPDs?
Are you joking? I'm an international school teacher, of course. Uh, so there's Allison, there's Coursera, there's my favorite used to be Future Learn, but I have this mentoring group now, and they've introduced me to so many other platforms, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh yes, please. So there's Cobis, there's Educare, there's Tess. I love Tess, and they have lots and lots of courses. Yeah, I will leave you a list, and I hope that your audience will not go, oh my word, what's she doing? Yeah, so lots and lots of places where you can get courses, some of them for free, some of them not for free.
Mm,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello, Bill Quintin. Thank you for joining us today. If you've not liked the video yet, please do like it and subscribe to the channel as well so that you get more value from the channel. One thing I wanted to ask, for people who have families, husbands, wives, children, can they move with them when they get jobs?
Most international schools want you to stay, especially when you go to tier 1 and tier 2 schools. They don't want a high turnover. So yes, I usually travel with my family. They are usually on my contract. They pay for their airfares.
As well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why are
wow.
you shocked? This is why do you know what? I'm not, this is not to say I will never teach in a public school again, but yeah, I'm a spoiled little princess. If a school doesn't offer me a contract that has my children on it, that means free school fees, free tuition, healthcare, flights for me and my family, I'm not coming.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Okay.
not coming.
And I think the next question that a lot of people would be interested in, how do we get those jobs? How do we apply? How do we, know those schools that are IB schools, are international schools? How do we get that?
So international schools have a website that most of them like to go. Not a website, but I have one favorite website that covers the whole globe. And then there are others that maybe focus on international schools in Australia. There are some that focus on international schools in the US. There are smaller ones, but there's one really big one that's my favorite, and that's Times Educational Supplements, which we fondly call TESS. With TESS, you can find jobs in Kathmandu, you can find jobs in Tonga, you can find jobs in the UK, you can find jobs anywhere. And yeah, so there's TESS, there's Go Abroad, there's Teach Away, there's Teach Abroad. Yeah, lots. And if you don't want to do it yourself, there are websites where you can have like an advisor who's going. You pay them. You always subscribe and you pay them. They'll ask you for lots of things about you, and then they would do it all for you. I usually tell people, do it yourself. It's easy. One, the school would admire you that you have the confidence to do this yourself. Um, they would see you as someone who knows exactly what you're doing because they want you to come show the children how to navigate the world.
Yeah.
Remember, these children move around with their parents. Most of them are ambassadors' children. Most of them are children of emissaries from countries around the world. Some of them work with the United Nations. So they move around a lot, and they need teachers who are bold enough and confident enough to apply for themselves because they know exactly what they want, so that when they come to this school, they can infuse or pass the skills to the children. A teacher who's not confident cannot pass confidence skills to
Someone
children.
else, yeah.
You can only give what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So schools can smell that at interview. I always tell people, go there and, like, now you're interviewing me, and look, it's like we're chatting, we're drinking tea, we're just chilling and sharing information. That's what you need to take to interview. That's what they need to see. A chilled out person who they feel completes them, not someone who's going to get them thinking, oh, how are we going to support this person? This person can't do anything. This person can't do this. So when you're applying, start your confidence from there. Apply for yourself. If you make mistakes, learn from your mistakes. It'll make you stronger. It'll make you know what you're doing. It'll make the schools love you.
Good stuff. Oh, that's really good. So just so we are on the same page and we're getting all the information. So for somebody who is interested in being an international school teacher,
Yes.
and even if they don't have the certificate, they can start the process.
Yes.
And basically all they need to do is it just to edit their CVs and go on this website and start applying for jobs? They
Yes.
don't need to do IELTS exams. They don't need to do SATs or TOEFLs or any of those things. Just edit your CV and start applying for jobs.
Have you ever seen where someone who, okay, let me use this example. Have you ever seen where you've interviewed two people, one with the first class, one with the third class? You would think the person with the first class will be hired, but he can't sell himself. And the person with the third class can sell himself. He has the confidence of a king, and he wows you. Who would you employ?
Definitely the one who wows me,
Exactly. You won't even think about the qualification because you would think, wow, this person can sell ice to polar bears, that sort of thing. So that's what I want people to think. Don't concentrate too much on the qualification. Concentrate on coming off as a very confident person on paper. That means put skills on your CV that wow, nobody else has this. I'll give you a good example. I'm a woman. I'm from the part of the world where I'm from. I teach maths and computing. How many two people have you seen who look like me, who have my kind of confidence? So that's one unfair advantage. Two, the fact that I've traveled around the world. How many people who are women, teach maths and computing, travel around the world, and have worked in the different places where I've worked? Those are the things that you need to put on your CV. Forget about, QTS or this or that. Sell yourself. Sell yourself so that the person looking at your CV looks at you and goes, wow, I need to grab this person before anybody else sees this person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might mean that you don't follow any CV format because you don't fit into a CV format. Some CV formats will have a space there that says put your QTS number. You don't have a QTS number. So what are you not going to apply? I have applied to jobs where I didn't put my QTS number, but I sold myself in so many other areas because I created my own unique CV. So for anyone who's applying who doesn't have the qualifications, I would go for a specialist role because I know I will shine brightly as a specialist. You have Microsoft certification. Make sure that that jumps off the page at them, because remember I said in international schools they have specialist teacher, so they need a teacher who will teach computing. Why do you want to squeeze yourself into a normal teacher's role when you don't have all the things that a normal teacher has, but you have that thing that not all teachers have, the computing skills? I would blow myself in that area and shine all the light I can on that skill and sell myself in such a way that you would think I'm Bill Gates. You would think I created Microsoft and you would hire me. And that's the confidence that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's really good. And do you do one-on-one consultations?
I didn't used to,
Okay.
but I realized a lot of people do not have this knowledge that I have. And so I decided that maybe starting from December, because my schedule will be a little bit lighter around that time, I'll do a test run to see what one-on-one services I would render. I think I left it on my channel, my community page a while back, because I really want more people who look like this to come into this space so that people will start telling me, Janet, you're one of the few ones. I want to be one of the many, even though I know I will still use my unfair advantage.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, then. So by the time you put out more information regarding your one-on-one consultation and one-on-one services, please do let us know so that we can, spread the message as well.
Of course.
Ezigbo, thank you for commenting. And Ezigbo said, is this just elementary schools or for tertiary schools as well?
Tertiary. I know someone. Okay, so when I worked in Egypt, our computing teacher just had a Microsoft certified CCNA networking administrator. He had a CCNA certification, and he was the computing teacher. He taught the children coding. He was really good. He was good because, of course, when he came on, school threw so many CPDs at him, so he was good. We had a PE teacher, if she's watching, Mena. She was fantastic. Then she decided after that she was going to return to the UK and get a teaching qualification, because she tried to get one in Egypt because she's Egyptian, but it was just a convoluted rule and it was easier for her to get one from the UK. So she went back after her contract, she went back to the UK to get a PGCE. When I worked in Myanmar, we had 3 specialist teachers who just had bachelor's degrees in their first degrees and in their subject, so they came on as specialist teachers. So that's honestly, that's how I would sell myself.
Okay. And for those of you interested, Janet is going to give us all of the details we need. So that would include the website where you can get, these jobs from, and you can start applying, and those countries as well. Just more information. It would all be in the description box and also in the comment section. So do well to have a look at that if you are interested as well. I don't know if any other person has any other questions, or if there is anything else you want to make us aware of. Just something that we need to work with.
I just want to add here that even though I don't do one-to-one, I have a mentoring WhatsApp group at the moment, and they're fantastic. I learn from them, they learn from me. It's like, just friends coming together to talk, share their experiences. And because we're in different parts of the world, International School Teacher Life, we are learning about different places. So
Mm.
anyone who's interested in joining that before the one-to-one starts, you're welcome to join. But you have to go through you have to go through a system where we have to look at your CV to see how we can, help you get you on the right track, so that even when you start applying, there are people there to support you before the one-to-one starts.
Okay. And Ezekiel said, I meant if one could find a job for a tertiary institution. I think that he said that's his question. So initially
Right.
he has said, is this just elementary schools or for tertiary schools? But then he has clarified and said, if one could find a job for a tertiary institution.
Right. I thought you were just asking about, because those specialist teachers that I told you about, they're not elementary school specialist teachers. Yes, for tertiary, yes, for universities, yes, you can. There are private universities out there, and yeah, you can get into any one of them. Even in the UK, there are, apart from the Russell Group, there are some that are strictly, how would I say, they rely on the fees mainly, not from government grants. So yeah, for tertiary education, secondary, primary, nursery, yes, kindergarten, yeah, you can.
Okay.
When you go on, sorry,
No, go
go on.
on.
So when you go on, I'll use tests for example. If when you go on tests, and I have a video on my channel that walks you through how to use tests. You just, there's a place where you have to put the kind of job you're looking for. If you're looking for further education jobs, you just type it in there and it will filter it out for you. If you're looking for elementary school jobs, you type it in there. If you're looking for jobs with business sponsorship, type it in there and it will filter everything down, and then you can choose from the schools that are filtered out for you, and you will get your jobs from there, and then you just apply, follow the instruction, and the rest is easy.
Okay, lovely. Um, Talita, thank you so much for joining us today. Talita said, are there specialists in areas like child safety or just subjects?
Child safety, you would be in the special education needs, and please, I think I had to do a session on this on my mentoring group. When people hear special education needs, they just think it's children with disabilities, physical disabilities. No, it covers a lot of things. And if you are, if your specialism is in that, you might be working with the psychologist, with the special education needs department, and you would be helping children to access their outcomes, even if they can't access it in a normal setting.
Okay, fantastic. Ezekiel said, thank you so much for these, ma'am and Mercy. You are very welcome. Thank you for joining us as well. And I hope you've liked the video too, and you have shared it and subscribed to the channel as well. Thank you for doing that. I don't think we have any more questions regarding this, because it feels as if you've answered most of the question, or all of the questions that have been asked. But oh, Ezekiel said, how do we join your education group, please? Very much interested.
So my YouTube name is Diaspora Doodles, and I'm Diaspora Doodles on every single social media platform there is out there. I don't know why. So just search for Diaspora Doodles to show you Twitter, TikTok. I was on TikTok for 3 hours last night. So yes, and in those places you could either send me a message or you can email me. When you email me, please try to put what you want, because I get that many emails and people just email me, help me to do what? I don't know. If you don't explain what you want to help me with, I might struggle, because I think, what do they want? Have I spoken to this person before? Because my brain is that way. The logical side of me will be trying to remember, where did I meet this? But so just make it easy for yourself so that I can respond to you as fast as I can. write down everything you want, and please follow it up with a CV, because I can't advise you if I don't see your CV, that sort of thing. So yes, contact me. YouTube, all my contact details are there. TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, um, Thread. Just yeah, I'm Diaspora Doodles on all social media platforms. So
Yeah, and just to make it easy for you all as well, I'm going to leave her YouTube handle in the description box and in the comment section as well, so you can just click on it and go to the right person.
yes.
Talita said, "Is it okay to share the WhatsApp link so as to join?"
I did that. So my WhatsApp group has gone through 3 incarnations. So the first time I shared the WhatsApp link, people just joined. They didn't know what they were doing. So I would have talked about something maybe 2 weeks before, and then the new person who joins will be asking the same question. So it felt like we're always moving, going back and never moving forward. So now I have a system where before they come in, I sort of stagger them in. So you first come into the first, like the email stage where we talk and I ask you what you want, and I go through your CV and we talk about all those things. Then there are some videos that you must watch. Videos like how to evaluate your certification. Because even though you want to join an international school, if you're all countries don't have the same kind of understanding of each other's qualifications. So I have to put you through the process of evaluating your qualifications and everything you need to do, the CPDs you need to do. I need to sort of work with you. And then when you're ready, then you join the group. So that when you join the group, you already have the background knowledge of everything that we're discussing on the group, or else you'll come in and you'll be lost. We'll be talking about child protection. We'll be talking about Victoria Klimbe, and you'll be thinking, who, what? But if you've watched the videos that I would have suggested, please watch this one, do this CPD, do this, and all those other things. And when you come in with an understanding, and you just fit in really well. So when we're talking about how to put your lighting when you're doing your video interviews, because as an international teacher, we do not do in-person interviews. We do virtual interviews, because I might be sat in Spain and I'm interviewing for a job in Uruguay. They're not going to expect me to come to Uruguay. I won't come. I won't come because I'm currently in a school, showing that I'm a good employee by being at the school. So usually we do virtual interviews. So I talk people through what to say at interview, the comportment, what to do immediately after the interview. So that's on the mentoring group. But before that, there's stages that you have to go through to get to that point. And I had to learn with
Yes.
the different things that have happened over the last 10 months.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask, when you talked about evaluating your credentials and everything,
Yes.
does this process does it involve people doing that? So do people need to evaluate their certificates as well, or they can just wake up, update their CVs, and just go ahead and start applying for jobs?
You can do that, but you're just going to make it very difficult for yourself. If the school doesn't understand your certification, and that your bachelor's degree is actually higher than, or that your WAEC, for example, for people who are from Nigeria, they don't know that your WAEC is higher than the GCSEs. So if they ask you for GCSEs and you give them a WAEC, they will not understand it. But when you evaluate it, then they'll say, oh, you even hire something higher than what we want. So you see, it gives you a plus. I usually tell people, do some of the work for them so they see you as someone who's professional and you're prepared and you're just amazing.
Oh, fantastic. And do you have like anybody that you would recommend? Any WES, CGFNS, or which organization would you recommend for one to use to evaluate their documents?
So that comes into the talking stage where they email me and we talk. Some people want to go to international schools in the US. I would advise them to do the WES or the Spatran. Some people want to go to international schools in Europe. I will tell you, based on my experience,
Mm.
to go, if you're, for instance, if you're going to the Netherlands, you take West there, they still don't understand West. So you first choose where you want to go, and that comes into the point where you email me and we talk, which is why
Mm.
I'm really leaning towards the one-to-one, because then I
Yeah.
have more time for people because they want to go to
Mm-hmm.
different places. I won't tell everyone to go and do the ECTIS.
The same. Yeah.
It won't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I've been to every single continent, I can tell you what I've done to get into all those different countries. So it's
Fan-
easier.
Fantastic. Pascal is saying hi. Hello, Pascal. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us as well. Ezekiel said, any form of payment. So when you
What
start doing your one-to-one, um, any idea what the payment range is going to be? And with the mentoring right now, is there any payment involved, or it is all act of service?
I've been doing it pro bono, so yeah. I've been
Okay.
doing it for free because I feel like everyone who helped me along my journey did not charge me. The only point where I get a little bit iffy is when people come to me and then I help them and then they just pretend like I didn't help them. That's the point where, yeah, oh yeah. So you'll be surprised how many people, and then they go on and they praise someone else. That's the only part that annoys me. But so far, I just tell them, well, it's fine. I helped. You know, I helped you. I know you. I helped you. That sort of thing. I
Mhm.
don't charge people. I'm doing it for free. And honestly, what I do on my mentoring group, I sat down and I thought about it. I answer every single question.
That's like a digital product.
Yes, it is. I do demo teach for them because when they're on the mentoring group and they have interviews planned, I actually set a time when we sit down, sometimes on Zoom, sometimes on WhatsApp, and we do like a demo teach. I ask
Yeah.
them questions and they have to
Mm-hmm.
respond, and I have to check to see what they're doing is correct, and then they go for the interviews, you know. But that's the point where people get the jobs and they don't come back to say, oh,
Thank you
Janet.
so much. You got the job. Yeah. It could be annoying. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, and with the one-to-one that you would be starting in December, is that going to be pro bono as well?
that's I signed up for pro bono, so we'll see.
I mean, guys, she's one of the good ones because I don't think I've seen anybody who is doing pro bono. So
But
you need to grab this right now before she
but
changes her mind.
but some people come to me and they say, but they want to see my credentials. They want to know why, because I think we've come to a point as a community where we don't trust things that come for free.
Yes, exactly. I
Yeah,
was having this conversation a while back, and I was told the same thing as well. Because basically, what I'm doing right now, I'm doing for free as well. I'm doing it pro bono as well, and a lot of people do not value what they get easily. And when you start charging for it, a lot of people would value it more. And I'm like, I don't want to do that right now. I'm not at that point in time when I want to
exactly.
do that right now. Things might change further down the line, and when that time comes, everybody would be aware that it's now a paid service. But right now, just say thank you. When you get the assistance, just say thank you. It's
That's
not
it.
that difficult.
Just say thank you. Oh, China, I got the job. Wow, fantastic. The only thing I ask them to do is just, do you mind just coming in? Let's record a video so that we can inspire more people.
More
Not
people.
because I want to use you to charge more people. Just come in so that they can see one
Mhm.
more person. Because you know that thing where you just feel like, oh, I'm trying, I'm applying, and I'm not getting the job. But when you see someone who looks like you, who has your experience, come out and say, oh wow, I got this job and this is what I
Mhm.
did. They might even give you nuggets that you can then use for
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yes.
some people refuse. They say they're camera shy, they say they're busy. Some of them say, oh, wait until my family gets here, then I'll record a video with you. And I'm like, really? But do you know what? I just I know that I can provide inspiration just by
Yeah.
talking.
Okay. And then Pascal said, I am interested, Madam. Pascal, what are you interested in? Just so
Yes,
that we get clarity. Are you
yes,
interested
please.
in moving abroad as a teacher, or interested in joining her mentoring group, or what exactly are you interested in? Just so that we have an idea what it is that you were talking about, and then we can give you better clarity. But you
Exactly.
you have been really, really helpful today. Ezigbo said, please give us your email address, ma'am. Ezigbo, her YouTube handle is going to be in the description box and in the comment section as well. You can contact her from there. So just be on the lookout, and
Yeah,
then you can get further information on all of our other social media platforms and
yeah.
how you can contact her too.
And please remember, every video that I release always has my email address and my social media. So basically, every video I have on my channel has a way for you to contact me. So
Mm,
I'm out there trying to help. I just want more people who look like us. You
yeah.
know, I started this because I realized that there's a lot of people out there talking about, oh, come and teach, but they're not giving people the, it's one thing for you to submit an application. It's another thing for you to put the target words on your application. It's
Yeah.
another thing to know how to respond when the school says, oh, we like you. Do you mind? Are you available on Thursday? For
Mm-hmm,
example,
mm-hmm,
the 28th of October. The way you respond, because from the minute you send out your application, they're already looking at you, they're trying to
mm-hmm.
assess you, and every single thing you do after that is you being like an ambassador. Like I said in the beginning, there's not many people who look like us. So we who are entering this space now are ambassadors. For
Yeah.
example, there's this stereotype that when you see an Indian guy, he will be very good at maths. Does it mean he's good at maths?
No.
Probably not. But it's that stereotype because there's so many of them in that profession who are
Mm,
good at maths. When we become that many and people see that, oh, a Nigerian coming in to teach, oh, they must, or an African coming in to teach, they must be really, really good because I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Nigerians or Africans come through my school and they were really good. When we get to that level, then we don't need to work too hard.
mm,
Right now, there's not that many of us here. There are
yeah.
many Africans who are in healthcare. So chances are when you walk down the streets in the UK, they think you're in healthcare. They think you're a doctor, a nurse, a carer, because there's that many of them there.
Mm.
When I first walked into my school as a black teacher, everyone looked at me again. They were thinking, what? Is she what's she doing here? Even parents were shocked. And it felt like I had to prove myself to them. By
Mm-hmm.
my second year, it was like three other African teachers joined us at the school, two others, and then one came in later. And it was normal. It was a case of, yeah, okay, they're black, they're Africans. So we had
Yeah.
Janet, and Janet was, Janet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Emmanuel said you're truly inspiring, Doodle. Thank you. And Isabel said, oh, great, thank you. You are all very welcome. And thank you so much, Janet, for giving us this time, because I know you've had a very busy day and you've given us this time to tell us about this whole process and how to go about it. So thank you very much. For every other person watching, please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel as well. And Janice has her own YouTube channel as well. Please do subscribe to her channel too. We are here trying to give you information just so that you can make informed decision and start your whole process. So this is quite very you've just been given the information that you have been missing, so ensure that you do not, don't make it go into the waste bin. Use it, work with it, do further research. If you have any questions, please do leave it in the comment section. We're very happy to answer your questions for you. And without further ado, because we do not have any more questions, we would like to say thank you. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, because you need to rest. You have had a busy day. And we will see on your channel. We will see on your channel. Thank you so much, Janet. I do
Thanks,
appreciate
guys. Thank you
it.
for having me. I've had a wonderful time. I love talking about education and international schools, as you
I
can
can
tell.
tell. Yes, I can tell.
So thank you for having me. And I look forward to working with everyone who was watching today. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the international school circuit.
Thank you. Have a good evening, Ben.
Bye.
Oh my God. Okay, so Talita just said, I joined in late. The little I got is quite inspiring. Thank you, Talita. Thank you. You can go back and watch it again from beginning so that you can
Yes,
get all
please.
of the information. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Okay, have a good evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.